I'm sitting inside your RAV4 Prime, and I just wanted to quickly go over everything inside, just so that you have a reference video to refer to if you ever have any questions about anything. So I'm going to start down here. Hopefully you can see it is pretty dark. There's a bunch of buttons right there that are lit up. Starting from left to right, you have that first one that kind of looks like a gauge. That's for adjusting the brightness of all of the dash lights. Next to that, with the little light above it, is a kind of has an A symbol. That is for automatic high beams. What that does is turns on and off the brights whenever this camera that's up here, there's a camera inside that black box. Whenever that camera detects tail lights are getting close or headlights are coming at you, it'll automatically dim your high beam so you're not blinding other drivers. Next to that is the button for the heated windshield wipers. So there's some heating elements in the glass. You can kind of see the little black part of the glass. I don't know, that's not really a very good video, but there's heating elements under the glass that the windshield wipers rest on, so that way you can turn that on and it will defrost that part of the windshield faster, so that your windshield wipers aren't stuck on those cold days that we do have here in the Northwest. Next to that, there's kind of a gap, and then the next button there is for the heated steering wheel. So I don't know if you already have a heated steering wheel, but just FYI, once you cross that bridge, you can't go back. You're going to be hooked on a heated steering wheel for life. So, and then that last button there is for opening the back hatch. And then down below, you can kind of see the little gas button is down there for popping open the gas tank. If it'll focus, it's kind of far away and I can't fit my phone down there. Moving up here, you've got your hand-free controls for making your phone calls, changing the volume, and then this directional pad is for navigating through all the different menu options that are up here. So there's a ton of different things that you can have displayed. Most people are going to leave that probably on one of these menus. Yeah, most people will leave that right there probably. So moving over here, couple of different things going on. I'm going to point at some of these buttons. So this top button right here, that's for changing the following distance when you're using your smart cruise control. So if I turn cruise control on by right here, and then I press that button, as you can see, there's little blue lines right there. If I press that button again, it drops down, and then it drops down, and then the third time it resets. So that's for following distance: long, medium, and short. So when your smart cruise control is automatically slowing the vehicle down, that's how that's going to work. Next button down from that one is the lane detection. So if you are driving down the road going above 32 miles an hour and lane detection's on, the vehicle will actually correct the steering. Very subtle. You'll feel it in the steering wheel, but it's pretty subtle. And then it will also beep at you if you get too far out of your lane. Next, those are the controls for your cruise control. Pretty basic stuff there. Moving down here, this mode button changes the AM, FM, Bluetooth, Sirius, all the different radio modes. So that's what that does. And then the button next to it, those arrows, those are for changing the station or cycling through the next song or stuff like that, depending on which mode you're in. So moving over here, we've got this giant display. I love this. I love actually how Toyota kept a lot of the buttons physical, so you can still navigate through all the main parts of this. This is a touchscreen, and there's lots of menus and lots of options you can get dug way deep into. And then if you ever get into a menu and you can't figure out how to get back out, all you got to do is touch any of these buttons around the outside of the screen. It takes you right back to that part of the system, so that you can, do whatever it is you were trying to do. So, but it is touchscreen. You can touch that, and I'll go over a little bit more of that when you guys are here setting up your phone and everything. Moving down here, environmental control. So you do have dual temperature control. Passenger can have a different temperature than the driver. If you press the sync button over on that side, it'll sync to whatever the driver is doing. More environmental control buttons down below. So that front one obviously is for the front windshield defrost feature. The rear one is for the rear defrost feature. Next to that, you have the Eco Heat and Cool. So what that does is it actually optimizes how much energy those systems will draw. basically, I mean, to make it kind of in the most simple terms, your hot won't get as hot and your cold won't get as cold if you have the Eco Heat and Cool on. It just doesn't allow those systems to draw as much power. The heating and cooling is actually the second largest load on the battery, second only to moving the vehicle forward. So that's kind of what that feature is there, to kind of just try to cut corners as much as they can on electricity if that's what you're interested in doing. The next two buttons are a big fan and a little fan. Those adjust how much air is blowing if you take manual control over those things. The next button over is that seated position. That is for toggling through where the air is blowing on your feet, on your face, or on the windshield. You just press that one button to toggle through all the different settings. Next to that's recirculate. And then the next one, this is kind of an interesting one if you're not familiar with Toyota products. That button right there will actually it turns off the air conditioning or the heating to any unoccupied seats. So if it doesn't detect somebody sitting in one of the seats, it actually won't blow air into those seats. Again, another efficiency thing, trying to be a little bit more efficient, cut as many corners as they can on electricity so that you're not wasting anything. So that's just one of the ways it's done. Below that, you've got the traction control off. Don't push that. Turns off traction control. You probably want traction control on almost all the time. Next to that, you have your heated seat buttons for the driver and the passenger. And then down below, you do have the wireless charging station down there that is lit. And then also you can see there's that USB port that is open. That's the USB port you'll plug into to use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto features. If you're familiar with those, they basically screen mirror your phone up here on the dash, so it makes it super easy to maximize, these expensive pieces of equipment that we have in our pocket without getting in trouble for actually fiddling with it. So, and then next to that, you've got the the normal 12 volt spot where you can plug anything in to charge it. So wireless charging and a couple of different physical charging options. Moving down here, the first top left one, that is for the parking brake. So it's an electric parking brake. You actually can forget about that button if you want. When you put it into drive, it automatically takes it out of park. When you put it into park, it automatically engages the parking brake. So it all happens automatically. You don't even have to worry about it. Next to that, to the right, you have the hold button. What that does is it will keep the brakes applied when you come to a complete stop. Even as your foot comes off of the brake pedal, the brakes will stay applied until your foot touches the gas. So it's a pretty handy feature, especially today in these long lines that you're waiting for coffee, or if you ever do get back to the point where you're sitting in rush hour traffic, you'll appreciate not having to shift from park to drive all the time. You can just use that hold button and it'll just kind of do that stuff automatically for you. Down below that, you've got a couple of features for the way that the hybrid system is going to work. The Auto EV HV. EV stands for electric vehicle. HV stand for hybrid vehicle. So what that does is it just automatically is going to switch between the two as it needs to. So you probably leave it in that position most of the time. But the next button over there, that is for forcing the vehicle to stay in either hybrid or in electric mode. So if you press that button, it'll force the vehicle to stay in either one of those modes as long as it can, until it gets to the point where it needs to switch. Down here, you've got the Eco and Sport. So you'll roll that dial to the direction that you want. Let's say you roll it to Sport mode. So turns red down there, kind of gives you feedback. This dial up here also turned red to give you feedback that you're in Sport mode. In Sport mode, I don't know if you'll notice the steering tightens up. It makes the throttle more responsive. All these little micro adjustments to make the vehicle run a little bit more sporty in Sport mode. Eco mode goes in the opposite direction. Again, that's the things that it's cutting the power. I don't know if you noticed, but it automatically turned on the Eco Heat Cool button. So it cuts the power to the to those kinds of things. If you slam the gas pedal in eco mode, you'll only ever get 90% out of the throttle. So just little things like that it adjusts to try to make the car run a little bit more fuel efficient. So moving up here, we do have the rear view mirror. It is auto dimming, and it does have the 3 buttons right there for programming garage door buttons. Moving up here, some pretty basic stuff. You've got your sunroof for opening the sunroof and closing, and on this side you have it for tilting the sunroof. If it'll focus, just tilting it, cracking it open so that you're not fully open, but you are letting some air come through. Next to this is probably unique to, unless you're driving a Toyota already, this is the SOS button. This connects you with Toyota. So if you press that button, it'll ping your GPS location to Toyota, and it'll connect you with a live Toyota rep. And they can help you with a wide range of things. They can help you from, how to program the clock, change the hour, or they can even help you with something as extreme as sending emergency services to your location. So that's why it pings your GPS location, is so that they know where to send things. Also, if you get into an accident, all that's going to happen automatically. They're going to detect the airbags deployed. They're going to actually come over the speakers asking if you're okay, and if you're non-responsive, or if you say please help, they're just going to send emergency services to your GPS location. So next, you've got, again, some more basic controls for adjusting the basic controls for controlling the lights. So I'm going to turn the door on. That's what most people want, so that way when you open the door, lights come on. Those other ones are for just turning them on manually. So that's kind of all of the buttons and features in the car. If you have questions, I know you will. Don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to make another video, or when you're here in person, answer any questions at all. So this is Dusty here at Toyota Gladstone. If you do have questions, call me 843-693-5644. Thanks, guys, and have a great day.